welcome back to another Looma video. Today we are in a new location, but not to worry, we still have the flamingo. In this video, what we're going to be covering is some of the serum presets that I made for you. They're available on my Patreon only for $3, so if you like what you see in this video, make sure to check that out. I think these serum presets are super useful for just, starting a song, tweaking some settings, and then having this desired sound that you want. It comes in handy a lot for me, at least, when I'm making my own music. Let's get into the video. I have all these presets that I've made. Let's just start off with the 808. This is really useful when making some really heavy 808s. Say that you want a sound like this, but then when you transpose it, it just sounds a little bit different. You can fix that by just simply exporting that sound. And now you have that 808 in the format of a sample. You can see that there's color, distortion, cleaner, and flavor. And these are all macros that you are able to tweak to create the desired sound. So say you kind of want a pretty just subby 808. You can make it by turning the color down, but if you want a lot of high end, you can do that. The cleaner takes out some of the muddiness of the basses, so if I turn that all the way up, you can hear some of those mids getting ducked. The flavor is again kind of opening up some of those high ends, and the distortion is just going to add some more width to it, and just like that, we have a bunch of different usable 808s. So the 808 machine is a super useful preset that I use a lot of the time in my own music, but that's just the first of many. So this is going to be for kind of like neural bass glides and stuff. The speed is altered by this macro. So this is the pitch change amount. If I change this all the way to 0 and I change the pitch, you can hear that the speed changes, but not the pitch. If I turn the pitch all the way up, then you can hear that the pitch changes quite a bit. So let's leave that at 50%. And then if we go over to here, into the speed change amount, we can say that maybe we don't want that much of the speed to change, but we do want the pitch to change. So we can turn that down a little bit. Like so. Or if we want the speed to change a lot, we can turn it all the way up. And then color's just gonna add some more high end and width. So you can see this is kind of a more dry sound. Well, this is like very widthy. This is supposed to sound a little bit like some keyboard. This is the sub, so if I add more sub in there, you're gonna hear more low end. If I change the tone, that's just kind of the sound that it makes. The width is just stereo width. And then effects is going to be like delay and stuff. So there you go. Pretty cool keys. You can also use the mod wheel to change from a square wave based synth to a sawtooth wave synth, just like so. Next, we have lead machine. Now this is a really cool one. You can again change the shape. So that's gonna change from a sawtooth wave to a square wave. Then you have your width, which is again, stereo width. And then your color, which is just your high end. And then your attack. And let's turn the attack all the way down. So you can hear that it's a very instant sound. That's the lead machine, pretty neat. Next up, we have the pad machine. Now the pad machine is personally my favorite. I like just amazing lush pads, so that's really no surprise. But I'm just gonna play a little bit for you. So you can hear, those are some really beautiful sounds. If I change this frequency, that's just kind of like where the frequencies are going to be resonating. And this formant is going to be kind of where you hear these vowely sounds. And then this is the resonant speed. So this is going to be a filter that's moving back and forth, resonating certain frequencies. And then EQ, that's going to be, do we want more low end or high end? So this is going to give us a really full sound, but if we just want the lower sounds, we can do that. And And that's gonna add a little bit more sub into our pad. The pluck machine. Pretty self-explanatory. Length, which is just gonna give you how long your pluck is playing for, as expected. Now hit is gonna change the transient. So if I turn this all the way down, it sounds like a note being played, but if I turn it all the way up, it sounds like it's being hit. It's very transient-like and very sharp. So again, we have color here, and that's gonna just be basically adding high-end harmonics. And then we have type, and that's gonna just change our waveform and a few other parameters. And then also on the pluck machine, we have the mod wheel. Now this mod wheel is gonna add just the tiniest bit of reverb to our sound. So without it, we don't really hear any of that space, but if we turn it up, it sounds like it's being played in a room. Now, I love respaces, and paired with the pad machine, this thing will work wonders. Let's mess with the color. Again, high-end harmonics. Movement, that's gonna be kind of how much you hear the sound changing over time. That's pretty static, but this has a lot of movement. Width, stereo width. This next one is the string and wind machine, so you can kind of hear what it sounds like to start off. And then again, there's this tone, which is gonna change where you're resonating and kind of the waveform. Then you have movement, and then you have attack to get some more kind of like introductory type synths. And then finally we have air. So the more I turn this up, the more air you're gonna be hearing pass through the instrument. And also it's gonna sound a little bit more bright and a little bit more clear as you turn this air up. If I turn it all the way down, there's gonna be barely any sound coming out of the instrument because there's no air going into it. If you want to further change the sound, you can use the mod wheel. This is probably one of my favorite patches as well. I know I say this for like every single one of the patches that I made, but I like all of them so much, so they're all my favorite. Don't judge me. Sub machine, pretty self-explanatory. Once again, this is just gonna be your sub bass. By default, it is basically just a sine wave, but if I change this tone, you can hear that it adds a little bit more harmonics to it, and then you have a fuzz. And that fuzz is gonna give it a little bit of high end. So you can see I have mostly this first harmonic, but if I change this tone here, you can see that we get some more of that second harmonic there. So depending on the type of song you're making, you might want to mess around with that a little bit. And then last but not least, we have the wub machine. So this is going to be used for making all your wubby delicious sounds for drum and bass, dubstep, that type of stuff. I really like using this. I'll play a sample of a song right now that I use this on. Energy. And that's going to be kind of like how hard it's hitting. Your color, which is again high end. This attack is just going to be how long it takes for your sound to initiate. So if the attack is all the way down, then as soon as I click the button, it's gonna play. But if the attack is all the way up, you know, it has that kind of build into the sound, which is really cool. This resonance is just how much it's resonating in the room that it's being played in. So that's gonna be mapped to your delay and reverb. This is probably one of my favorite sounds for using in dubstep type stuff, and I've heard it pairs really well with things like pitch map. So those are all the patches from my pack that is, again, on my Patreon, as well as my sample pack, lossless audio format, and project files for a lot of my releases and YouTube videos. So I would definitely recommend checking it out if you are looking for a preset that'll just get you up and running without you having to sound design much. This is, again, perfect for you. I use it a lot, and of course I love sound designing, but I prefer to just plop down a preset that I know will do the trick. Also, join the Discord for updates and other Looma-oriented stuff. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I will see you in the next one.